Good afternoon, Bebe Wood. Welcome back on VH Berries.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm honored.
I am extremely grateful because your lyrics, double meanings, are undetectable by the latest generation of Massachusetts Air Force radar. And if they had noticed, they would, a long time ago, be a no-flight zone over the Appeal to the Great Spirit statue in the foreground of Boston's Museum of Fine Arts. How are you doing today?
What an introduction. Thank you for that. I'm good. How are you?
I am also doing good, Bebe Wood, and that particular statue from Cyrus Edwin Dallin is portraying a solitary figure on horseback, facing the sky with arms wide open. And I believe that it is your music that Cyrus in 1908 turned to in order to be a 21st century hippie and a stoic lyricist.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
I would love, Bebe Wood, to discuss about your music. And in that regard, you waited no more than 72 hours before the beginning of the year to release a new EP. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Of course. Yeah, I think that the new year felt like a good time to release new music because it's often very cold and dark. And at least for me, I think sometimes the new year can be open and warm in terms of, you know, I guess a mental headspace. You go into the new year thinking that anything is possible, and it is. But also, at least where I am in the world, Massachusetts is not it's not known to be warm during this time of year. I think really January can just bring certain challenges, and sadly, this January has proven that to be so for so many people in America and across the world. And so really it just felt like giving these songs to people maybe as some sort of companion through this time. It felt right. And I think so many of the subject matters on the EP and on a lot of just songs that I'm currently writing and working on are about sort of light and shadow in its many forms, and how, you know, one cannot exist without the other. I talk a little bit about that during Epitaph, the song. But thematically, I think it just felt right to release that group of songs during the New Year time.
Absolutely, Bebe Wood, it felt right to release those lights and shadows only 72 hours after the new year. And that EP is called Live at MFA Boston. And I am very curious about your relationship with that physical location that is on 465 Huntington Avenue.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. You know, I'm not from Boston. I'm from Kansas City, but I do, you know, live out here now, and it's a fantastic city full of so much history, and there's some amazing museums. The MFA Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. There are just so many historical places of refuge on the East Coast in general, but Boston specifically. And I always just felt grounded there, and I'm such a mythology nerd. The Gods and Goddesses Gallery was always one of my favorites. And I was just thinking about a way I could record music in a way that felt organic and simple. Eventually, I do want to release studio recordings of these songs, but I was so eager to share them. I was just sort of brainstorming, you know, how can I do this soon? Because I was just so excited to actually get them out into the universe. So I kind of came up with this idea to do it maybe at MFA Boston, if they would be so kind. And a friend of mine works there, actually. And so I went to her sort of begging, just saying, hey, hey, can you please try and make this happen? She was like, girl, that's not my department, but I'll try, you know. So I had a meeting with them over there, and immediately they were so... they just received the idea. I think they weren't just listening, but they really received it, and they were also excited about it. And there was a sort of energy that I think pushed us forward into making it happen in a very quick way. So, you know, the stars just kind of aligned, and we did a walkthrough of the museum, and they were showing me different galleries, but in my head I knew. And so I was like, hey, maybe the Gods and Goddesses Gallery. And we went in there, and it just felt so right. I sang a little a cappella in the space just to hear what it would sound like, and it was just perfect, so echoey. And what you hear on the EP, we don't have reverb on the EP. It's just the sound of the gallery, which I think is really special.
It is a very special place, Bebe Wood, and I knew from the very beginning that you didn't pick that place only because of the 560 parking spaces available in the MFA Museum Road garage, because otherwise you would have recorded the EP in one of the 11 malls of Boston.
I could have. The Prudential Center, you know, that was the second on the list for sure.
It was the second on the list, Bebe Wood, and I would love to explore the recording of that particular EP, because it was also linked with a video performance. Can you tell us a little bit more about capturing those sounds and visuals in that Barakis wing, and more especially singing right next to keyboardist Itamar Gov area?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I knew that I wanted it to feel pretty simple and cozy and homemade, and I basically just gathered some of my friends together, and we did it. And Itamar is just a fantastic musician, and he plays with me out and about all the time, really. The only time I've ever had a keyboardist by my side is when I'm out with Itamar. He's the guy for me. He's so good, and I think really captures, you know, I mean, it's great to sing in a space like the MFA, right? Because there's already so much atmosphere. but sometimes when you're performing out and about, you don't get that atmosphere. It's not every day that you get to be surrounded by, 2,500-year-old statues and have that environment. And so, however, that is the environment that I want to evoke, I suppose, musically. So in a lot of ways, I call it the underworld. I'll be like, Itamar, we need a little bit more underworld on this. And I think even if we're not in an art gallery, if we're on stage somewhere or a club or whatever, he brings that atmosphere. He's so talented. So he, obviously, I knew from the jump he needed to be a part of it. And then my friend Mark was on camera, and he had different cameras, and we tried some things. He had like a camcorder from the 90s, which was really cool. And so, we just kind of hung out at the museum and, set up our sound stuff, started performing, singing, recording it. And he really just kind of pressed play. Like there wasn't much discussion or planning shots or whatever. I was just like, capture this, and that's it really. I just wanted to capture the moment, and I didn't want it to feel overproduced, I suppose.
Furthermore, Bebe Wood, you didn't want it to feel overproduced by going in the underworld, and that term could perfectly qualify the EP cover poster, because you're posing in front of the 13-foot marble sculpture of the goddess Juno, and I learned that this is the largest classical marble and Roman statue in the entire country.
Yeah, it is. She is a marvel, Miss Juno. I felt her presence behind me the entire time. It was pretty spectacular. That shot was a test shot. It was actually a total accident. Mark was, just recording video that day, but he pulled out his camera and like basically just accidentally snapped a photo and he sent it to me, and I was like, wait, I think this should probably be the cover, and then my friend Saren did a beautiful job sort of organizing it, and she put the black and white and she asked for my handwriting, actually. So I spent a night, just sort of writing my name and the name of the EP over and over again on paper. Okay, does this look good? Does this look good? And I scanned it and sent it to her, and we sort of, we made it that way. But it was pretty amazing having Juno just watching me the entire time.
Absolutely, Bebe Wood, Juno was watching you, especially during the track number 3, which is my favorite. A track called Hades, with a very particular quote. Truth hurts more than their derisions.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you like that one. Yeah, that song is about Hades and Persephone, quite simply. But I love using literature and myth as a sort of, tool to explain my own narrative, and I find Persephone to be someone I find comfort in and can relate to in many ways. And in my sort of take on the myth, I wanted to return some agency to her. I thought, well, maybe, she wasn't kidnapped by the Lord of the Underworld. Rather, she ran away. which, I mean, I feel like people have that take, but I wanted to lean into that. And so, the truth hurts more than their derision. The truth being her, her being interested in darkness rather than light, as she is supposed to be. Yeah, I don't know.
As a matter of fact, Bebe Wood, that EP called Live at MFA Boston is only a little preview of what is next to come. And it is setting the branches of the Tree Bridge Entertainment conglomerate.
It is. I love that you were able to work in my company Tree Bridge in there. Yeah, I mean, I love that sort of visual. Yeah, I mean, I have so many songs that I've been writing since 2020, and us as a, people and nation have gone through so much over the last 5 years. I can't even believe that 2020 was 5 years ago. And I think a lot of the songs I've written through that time thematically fall into this, this story about light and shadow. And that's why I start the EP with Epitaph, because it is sort of, the preface to the tale that I tell on the EP and wish to expand in the future. So yeah, I like the idea of the branches of the trees, as you said.
It is the preface of the trail, and in December of 2022, you started touring the East Coast alongside Chris Barron from the rock band Spin Doctors. Can you tell us a little bit more about this experience?
Oh yeah, Chris is just the coolest man ever. He is so funny and so smart, and he's just a good time all around. And we've been friends for years, and he invited me to come on tour with him, and immediately I was like, hell yeah, I gotta do this. And I did a couple shows in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, and it was such a fun time. I found out that I got Mean Girls the first night of tour, which was so funny, because I was pretty excited and buzzing because I was, about to do the first show. And then on top of that, I was, uncontrollably buzzing because of the news regarding Mean Girls. So that experience was just so good on so many levels. I actually met one of my friends, George, like the day before on a Thursday. The first show was a Friday. I met my friend George on a Thursday. It was hysterical. I met him at this bar basically where they were doing open mic nights, and I was like, let me test all of the songs that I'm going to do for Chris at just a bar to see how they go over the night before. So I did, met my friend George, and then I was like, hey, do you mind helping me carry my guitars to the, venue on Friday? And he was so nice. He was like, yes, for sure. And he's a very talented guitarist. His name's George Collins. He has a fantastic Instagram. If y'all like guitar content, he is so cool. And so, he helped me with that, and he was with me when I got the news. So it was just hysterical because he was a stranger at that point, and he was with me during a very important moment in my life. And then he ended up playing guitar for me. Through the summer, I had some gigs, and I played out some places with Itamar and George. So, that's the whole connection there.
If I understood correctly, Bebe Wood, on the first night of the first tour date, you got a hidden call from an unknown number, and a drop of water fell off on the screen and was picked up by mistake, turning out to be Gretchen Wieners.
Yes, I was in an Uber, and I was like, I was just in an Uber on the way to the venue, and it was snowing like crazy outside. It was actually very chaotic this evening in every way. I was with a stranger that I met the night before at a bar called the Bebop. Any Boston people probably will know it, but yeah, I just got a call from an unknown number. And then I answered it, and and then it was my agent. I recognized the voice immediately, but he was just like, "Hey, Gretchen," and I was like, "What?" And they were like, "You got it. You're Gretchen." And I was like, "Oh my God, yay!" And they were like, "Are you excited?" And I was like, no, I am excited. I'm just in an Uber right now, so like I don't really know how to react. And that was how that whole thing transpired.
This is the series of events that led you to that feature film called Mean Girl. And I would love to discuss about that great feature film that I watched for the first time on July 5th of last year on a very small screen of the seat 17A during a flight from Montreal to Los Angeles. So this movie literally took me on a high-speed journey.
That's amazing. I love that you remember all of those details. I think watching movies on the airplane is the best way to go, to be honest. I have some of the best like watching experiences of my life on the airplane.
Absolutely, Bebe Wood. The airplane is one of our best friends when it comes to watching those pieces of art. And I would love to explore that feature film. Can you tell us a little bit more about your character called Gretchen?
Yes, so Gretchen is one of the three members of the Plastics. They sort of rule the school. She worships Regina George, who is the queen bee, and I think she very much likes having a purpose. That is her purpose, is to sort of worship and to serve the queen bee. And then, you know, Katie Heron enters the picture, and they sort of bring her into their little group. You know, Gretchen might be a little threatened because there's a new person in the group. So yeah, you know, she is a character very dear to me in many ways because I grew up with the 2004 film, and it was so surreal to be her.
It was surreal to be her, Bebe Wood, and I learned that the name Gretchen is actually a diminutive of Margaret, but those two names retains the same letter count, so it's a short form that resists the logic of shortcuts.
I had no idea. That's an amazing fun fact.
This is an intriguing fun fact, Bebe Wood. And you are saying very powerful lines such as, I have 140 IQ, very toned legs, and my parents love me. Can you tell us about your favorite moments? And I assume that that sentence is included.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Gretchen has so many good lines. I think, that is so fetch is iconic. I was so excited to say that line. And then, you can't sit with us. So simple, but that moment was so exciting for me.
Those moments in which you are rejecting people from the dining table were exciting. And what would you say were the biggest lesson from that experience and that feature film called Mean Girls?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I think I learned a lot. I learned how to do a movie musical, which I'd never done before and was a huge dream of mine. I grew up on musical theater, so, I've always wanted to do a musical, and then getting to combine both of my loves of theater and film, what a dream come true. But I think I learned that, I think I already knew this in my head, but doing the movie, I really had to put this into practice, which is, teamwork really makes the dream work. That was such a technically challenging movie. There was so many moving parts. We really had to work together to make sure we succeeded in our sort of goals. All of the musical numbers, if one person was slightly off, or if the camera was not on their mark, or if you didn't find your light, the whole shot would be ruined, basically. So it was really a matter of working together to build the best outcome. And even though it was so challenging, it was so fun. It felt like we were all at summer camp, or really theater camp, which is even better. And so, I learned that, you can't make movies by yourself. You have to make movies with other people. And that's the best part about it, is building that community and working together. That's why I love making movies. Of course, I love acting. I love all of that. But to love the art with other people is the best.
Loving the art with other people during that theater and summer camp. And that event also helped you to showcase your voice in a very particular song called What's Wrong With Me? Because Mean Girls is above all a musical movie.
Yeah, I was super excited to sing. And I was really excited too, because What's Wrong With Me was really the only musical number in the movie that didn't have choreography. So it had choreography, but it wasn't like, like sparkle fingers, jazz hands. There wasn't a lot of movement, in a dance, way. There was choreographed moves from place to place, but because of that, I was able to sing the song live, which was really exciting, because, really, I just didn't want to be overthinking singing the song in the booth, because when you go into the booth, you're making your acting choices in that moment, like not on the day. If you record the song and you're singing it one type of way, you kind of have to, honor that performance that you gave in the booth. And I wanted to have more flexibility on the day that we were actually shooting it. So if I wanted to change my mind and be like, okay, wait, I'm feeling this in the moment, let me go this way, or, I'm feeling this way, I'm going to sing it this way. I wanted to just have more flexibility, in terms of, experiencing and feeling the emotion on the day, because I think, I don't know. I think I would have been stressed out in my head if I knew I was married to a certain performance. And so singing live was fun for many reasons, but I think it was just fantastic from a performance standpoint, because I got to play more, I think, and take more, I don't want to say risks, but I just got to do it several different ways. And if I recorded in the booth, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
In definitive, Bebe Wood, you didn't wanted to be married to a specific performances and a specific way of singing to have more freedom. And you also learned a very precious lessons that you applied from a previous project called Jesse's Story, in which you learned that paper bags are not a good idea to carry groceries in which the apple count exceeds 5.
You know, that's so funny because I haven't watched Jesse's Story in a while, and I forgot until that moment that the grocery bag breaks.
Absolutely, Bebe Wood. The grocery bag is breaking and is letting the 5 apples falls, but it is creating a connection between character. And I would love to discuss about that episode from a television series called Jesse's Story, Port of Accused. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah. It is a, sort of crime, television show where, it's based on a BBC show, that they did called The Accused. And this is the sort of American version. And, it's a really great concept. You know that someone has been accused of a crime, but you don't quite know what. And then as the episode unfurls, you realize, okay, this is what happened. Why did the person do what they did? And it's a kind of, great deconstruction and deep dive into the human psyche and what people will do for their loved ones or for themselves or whatever it may be. My crime was breaking and entering, so I feel lucky I didn't have like a super, super dark, sad episode, because some of them are quite dark, quite poignant, powerful. And I think that ours was powerful in a different way. It wasn't as dark. I mean, my character broke into a sperm bank, so breaking and entering. But that was like such a fantastic experience because I'd never done like a sort of anthology series before. Every episode is a different cast, different director, etc. We had a fantastic director, Michael Offer, who I love with my whole heart. He was such a joy to work with. I got to reunite with one of my friends, Betsy Brandt, who played I was on a show called Love Victor, and my boyfriend at the beginning of the show, who was not my boyfriend later in the show, had a mother, and the mother was played by Betsy, and she's just phenomenal in everything she does, and I got to reunite with her, which was so very exciting. She played my mom on this show. And then Josh Hamilton is a fantastic actor. I mean, he is just so mesmerizing to watch. Same with Betsy. I was just in such good hands, surrounded by such talent in every department. And we filmed the show in Canada, actually. And it was my first time in Canada. I was in Toronto. I just had the best time discovering a new place. I'd never been there before. And I don't know, everything about the creation of that show was so special to me, and I'll cherish it forever. And it's funny because it's just one episode in a series. Like I said, every episode has a different cast, but even though it was just one episode of the television show, it was such a significant part of my life, and we shot it over like a month. I've never taken a month to just do one episode of television before, and it was an hour long. And so it just felt like we had so much room to explore and play. And again, I was surrounded by such talented people, and I look back at that time so often because it was just really challenging and exciting. It was an exciting environment.
It was an exciting environment, and the fact, Bebe Wood, that you just mentioned, that it was filmed in Toronto is a revelation, because I thought that it actually took place in the New York State Supreme and Family Court.
I don't, honestly, if I'm being totally candid, I don't remember. But yeah, that sounds right. It certainly was supposed to take place in America. It was not supposed to take place in Canada. But we did shoot there and it was just marvelous. Toronto is a fantastic city and I want to work there again and again and again. I truly loved it. I could live there, I think.
Absolutely, Bebe Wood, you could live in Toronto, and you may not remember the New York State Supreme and Family Court, but you will probably remember Jessie quitting cross country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she quit cross country because she hurt her leg, right? Like that's like a big she's super pissed off because she has to like stop doing the things she loves. I think I can't remember. I have to be so real.
Jessie has to stop cross country because of an injury and medical condition. And in conclusion, I am looking forward to hear your upcoming music that blends seamlessly alongside the tall marble statue of the MFA Museum, as well as in the countryside full of whimsy bees. Thank you very much, Beatrice Bebe Wood.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you.